for the hottest news out of the obstacle racing scene? Want to stay up to date on the freshest info, the latest podiums, and hear interviews with the who's who in OCR? Well, you've come to the wrong place. Well, some of that you'll find here. But we're not the media. This is not ORM, OCM, OCRM, ORCM. This is OCR Talk.
Hello, this is Jason Dupree.
And Mike Stefano.
And this is OCR Talk. Thanks for listening in. This is the World's Toughest Mudder episode. Me and Mike are headed back to headed back to drop Mike off at the airport. We've had, the fun, eventful weekend, and we're going to chat a little bit about the race itself, and then get into some of the nitty-gritty with the technical stuff.
Yeah, lots of fun, lots of sun in Texas.
Yeah, it was warm. It started off warm and got cool that night, and saw a lot of people that were wearing wetsuits and whatnot. Pretty much anybody that was walking was wearing stuff to stay warm. But I know even some other people that were walking were getting warm on that first half of the lap because there wasn't a lot of water on the first half.
Yeah, a lot of people dealing with some hydration issues too, with excessive sweating. And I talked to a lot of elites, and I actually brought up you in your previous episode talking about those sweat tests. And I'm like, you should probably get yourself one, especially if you're looking to make that next step and climb those leaderboards.
Yeah, I've tried to share that with as many people as I could too, because if they talk about feeling just all the symptoms that I've experienced, like bloated stomach and lightheadedness and that kind of stuff, and
sometimes it's more salt, sometimes it's less salt, but until you get like a test, it's kind of just playing around you. It's tough to figure out by yourself.
Yeah. Here, hold it here so it's like in the middle of it.
Okay.
Yeah. But, yeah, and people that were moving didn't need wetsuits at all.
Yeah.
I feel like I was trying to picture myself in the race and what I would have done, because I feel like if I would have kept moving, I wouldn't have needed a wetsuit, but there's definitely times that I probably would have wanted it, like going through,
Arctic down up, or not, I didn't. Jesus. The tube one that was in ice water.
Yeah.
Melting Point.
Yeah. Melting Point and
Augustus Glue.
Cage Crawl, Augustus Glue. Those you're getting submerged basically. And I know with that wind, the way the wind was, it would have been chilly. Because that's what I did in 21 is I brought a neoprene jacket with me, and I would wrap it around my waist and look like a dope probably. But whenever I got to I stayed, cooler. And when I got to the water obstacles, I'd put it on and take it off as soon as I started getting warm again.
Yeah. I like the cold. I like to get a little numb. I have enough body fat to keep my core warm, but I lose feeling in my hands and toes, and just kind of keep it going. And I'm probably not having good upper body strength that late in the night anyway. So,
Evan talked with Miranda and AC on his podcast on strength and speed, and he was saying that he doesn't bother with like neoprene socks or really even super heavy gloves. Like he does plug mitts and stuff, but he said that he just deals with his fingers and toes getting numb.
Yeah, I know. I wear just one pair of Mudgear socks the entire time. I don't bother changing my socks. Don't bother changing my shoes. He also said like with the neoprene socks, they turn into like little squishy water balloons all the time.
That's what he said, but I've not experienced that. Yeah, I've actually had extreme success with neoprene socks.
Okay,
and to me, it's worth it to get that extra warmth in your feet.
You're also an advocate for 2 pairs of socks too, right? To reduce shape.
Yeah.
I noticed that with your nasty socks.
Yeah, like I didn't get any blisters. Now I did get like the whole trench foot, like creases in my feet from all the wrinkling that I had to deal with. I actually I kept lubing up my feet over and over for that purpose later on in a race, but I didn't get any blisters.
Okay.
But my shoes were also falling apart, so I think that was a big part of why my feet were having issues, is because I was moving around more than I would normally with a pair of shoes that's tight and working properly. Like my foot was basically coming out of the side of one of them.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And then how much mileage did you get for being the rabbit and doing all the things that you were doing.
I did 45 miles in total. I kept my watch running from the very beginning, and it was funny because I'm part of I do a workout with a group called F3. It's a all men free workout group that it's all over the nation, but we have a pretty little tight knit group in the Dallas Fort Worth area, and so you make a lot of good friends, and everybody takes turns leading the workouts, which is why it's free. But in November we do a challenge called Miles and Merkins, and Merkins everything's got its own little name. So Merkins are push-ups, and so my
Merkins or American?
Merkins.
Okay, Merkins.
It's probably America. So yeah, it's to get miles for my team because we're all on a team for Miles and Merkins. And I was like, well, it starts in November, and World's Toughest is right at the beginning of November, so I'm definitely going to track my mileage so I can get that. And also, the mileage, if you don't get the round number, it doesn't count.
Okay.
So at the very end of it, we were like, who else needs, who else do we want to catch running in? And so when Will and Francesca told me that we're good, there's nobody else that we're really watching out for. So I was finally like, let me look at my watch. I was at 44.8, I think. And I was like, well, I got to round out this mile.
Yeah.
So they go back out.
You also rounded out the mile when we had to return the following day too to pick up those cameras that were left on.
Yeah, we left accidentally, packing up. We had 3 cameras still out on course, and
Twinkle Toes, Operation, and Augustus Gloop.
Yep, and thankfully they had already picked up the one from Operation. We could have drove there, but the Operation and for Twinkle Toes,
yeah.
So I had to run out to Augustus Gloop to get that one, and I figured it's about half a mile over there, so I went ahead and started my watch.
Nice. Yeah, I got nervous when I got the Twinkle Toes, and you're like, you see it? I'm like, oh, no, I don't see it. That was not it.
I'm going to make sure that we're going right away. Yeah. All right, so hold it like this.
Okay. Oh, for the GPS?
Yes.
Oh. Well, I don't think it matters too much which way the mic space and like that.
Race was exciting. The men's race was nuts. Back and forth. Michael should dropping out and then getting back in, taking like 3 hours of sleep instead of getting 100 miles.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Animal. I was told to keep an eye out for him from Thomas Peterson. So much appreciated that tip. And it was hard to not pay attention to him.
Yeah. And even it came down to what, 3rd and 4th place was exciting.
Yeah, it was between, oh dear God, Joe Cato, I can't think of his name right now, really sorry. And then Josh Fiore. Josh Fiore was in the lead by like 2 minutes and then was passed up, and Josh didn't realize it, which was some emotions at the end of the finish line. But he was very respectful and appreciated a good competitor, and they knew each other beforehand, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, and Josh Fiore he believes he broke his rib at some point.
Twinkle Toes, he fell.
He definitely had a couple of, it was on Twinkle Toes.
Yeah,
he fell on that board?
Oh
my God.
Yeah. Yeah. I heard a couple other broken ribs on other obstacles too.
Jeez.
One of the people helping out on Everest, apparently he broke 2 ribs from helping all people all night.
Wow.
I saw the bruising and that looked nasty.
Weird. So yeah, I mean, he ran, I don't know how many laps, but at least a couple like that, with that rib.
I think it was 2 or 3 laps with a broken rib.
And he was still pushing to fight for 3rd place.
Yeah.
So I know he was suffering hard.
Yeah. And then Austin Nazar with the win for the men, representing Canada. Super nice guy, super smart guy too, which that's another fun fact. He's just, it's Rubik's Cubes and works for the government. Super smart.
And he just had a good clean race, I think.
Yeah.
Like he just was smooth and fast and didn't really seem like he had many issues.
So I think Giles said that he had only failed 2 obstacles.
Yeah.
And I know Joe said the same thing, that he only failed 2, which that's pretty impressive. It was at least some tough ones out there, especially over the duration of the event.
Yeah, absolutely. I know Evan's usually one to be able to get through all the obstacles. I didn't ask him how his obstacle proficiency was.
So I saw him at Dingleberries, and he was not having a good time. I saw him there when it first opened up. Like, what'd you think? And he put a thumbs down, blew a raspberry, and said, nope. All right, he's not a fan. I heard that last year it was ropes, and this year was ratchet straps.
Yeah,
Wait,
the
cargo it up for your hands.
Right. That cargo netting is very rough.
Yeah.
So I could see why that tore people's hands up. And then the strapping, it's still like a cargo net, but it's strapping instead. So you just get a different, because you get the edges on that as opposed to the roughness of it.
Same with barrel chested, right? Was that a ratchet strap too?
Yeah, but that's typical for that obstacle.
Yeah.
And I remember in 21 not having any real issues with it. So it's hard to say. But it is, yeah, when we did it.
It's tough in your hand. Yeah.
But also, I don't know, maybe it getting wet helps kind of loosen it up a little bit.
Yeah, maybe. Or also thinking with it being a ratchet strap, and I have no real build crew experience, you think that would have made it easier for them to continue to make it tighter? Because I know for watching the live stream towards the middle of the night, people were dragging in the water still.
Yeah, I wonder if they ever did it. Like that would have been something I would have told a volunteer, crank these down every once in a while. But maybe it's not appropriate for the volunteer to do that because it's right. I don't know.
I can see that being an issue too.
Yeah, people were definitely hanging in the water.
Yeah. It's funny because they said if any body part goes in there, and we were with James Delverde, who said, like, what about my hair?
Yeah.
And he was worried about that because he's got long hair, so he braided it, and he said he was just going to keep it in his mouth as he did that obstacle, which I would have loved to see a picture of that.
Yeah, that was definitely one of the consistency of the minutia of the rules.
Right.
Was definitely not the best.
Agreed.
One of the few criticisms I have about the race is that, and I know that's a hard one to do. It's hard one to get right because you've got volunteers that you're teaching this stuff, but they may not know, like, this is what you typically see at World Stuff is, because we've done it some of those people have been there a lot, but then others haven't, and they're new to it.
So I interviewed as many volunteers as I could, and I'd say about half of them that I talked to were not from the Top Water community. I've never done a Top Water before, which, first of all, thank you for coming out. Yeah, that's hugely important. But also, like, they were lesser prepared, and I don't think TMHQ did the best job, like, informing them of what they were supposed to do. At least at Dingleberries. The volunteer was great, but, like, he didn't know what to do. So, like, we're right at TMHQ, like, hey, he's new here. He doesn't know what he's doing. And, yeah.
Yeah, and from doing all the live streams and having lots of rabbit volunteers, I know firsthand how hard it is to get that right.
Right. Yeah, it's not easy whatsoever, but the championship event, gotta work on that a little bit. But for the most part, I'm very impressed with TMHQ, with what they pulled off, considering the hot lap. Did we mention that there wasn't much for the hot lap though?
Yeah, that was wild. Hot lap. There, all the obstacles were not built.
They less than half were built. Yeah.
And even the obstacles didn't open till certain times during the race, and they were definitely still building while the race was going on.
Yeah, I think I would have been a little frustrated if I paid for the hot lap too, and there was like nothing open. But I did. It also been tough too because, like, as a media, they're like, oh, like, go to that obstacle. I'm like, I don't remember that obstacle. I ran the course, the hot lap, but like that obstacle was not a thing. Like the whole King of Swingers. What do they call it for this one? When you jump out.
Well clung.
Okay, well clung. Didn't see that once, which is kind of crazy. I guess it just wasn't on that side of the course as much.
And there were some I know there was one, it was actually Stog and Dirt that was being dug while we were on the course for a hot lap. So it was hard to tell it. Like, has anybody got the map out? What is that? What is this?
Yep. And we're out there doing the live stream of the hot lap, and we're just as confused, which is difficult too. So yeah.
I did make sure to tell Giles. I didn't get a chance to tell Chris, but I told Giles that everybody from Tough Mudder that we worked with everybody's great. There wasn't a single person that I was like, man, they could have been better.
Shout out to the Wi-Fi guy. Sorry, yes, he was great.
Sam was their IT guy.
Yep.
So yeah, we'll get into the technical side of that, but Sam saved our bacon.
Yeah, like a couple times. And then he would also, like, even when nothing was wrong, he would still come over and just check.
Yeah, just double check.
Appreciate it. There were actually two people, and I can't remember who the other guy was too. Oh, the timing guy. The timing guy came over and was like, hey, just a heads up, like, your time is off by like 30 seconds, just so don't want anyone to see it, because your live stream was on the Jumbotron.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. We didn't want people tripping up on that. Although it did trip someone up. I don't know if you heard about Kelly Schweikart's pit crew.
No.
They were watching the live stream. They're like, all right, she's coming, she's close. And then she finished. And they're like, oh shit. So Callie like finished and there was like no one there. But then they came over like shortly after. But I know that.
Yeah, so a lot of people didn't realize that it was on YouTube with lies. I think there's a setting for low latency, but so that might be something worth looking into, because we don't really have a reason to have it be a delay to YouTube.
Right.
It makes, like, we kind of have to have a delay with the video that's going to the live production.
Yep.
But that's just because you need a little bit of latency to help make sure that all the data has time to get there.
Right. And I think if we don't have the chance to iron that out, a graphic would be good. Just like a heads up periodically, like, hey, this time isn't official. Like, even just if it's a small asterisk, we can't say that word. Just because, like, you know, Will and Francesca were doing a great job saying, like, hey, just keep in mind this clock's not the same. But the pit crew that are watching the Jumbotron,
they don't hear
they can't hear that. Yeah, exactly. But how did it feel to see the live stream on the Jumbotron? Did they do that last year?
No, that was extremely awesome.
Very cool.
I think we had, talked about ways to allow the pit crew to be able to see it, and the easiest thing was just say, I'm gonna bring a big TV and just we'll set up another table and have it facing the pit, and now I think it was just maybe Chris told Will, it was like, hey, y'all have the link for the YouTube feed, and so they discussed it a little bit, and they're like, yeah, if we give you the YouTube feed, you can throw that. I mean, if you're just, because they just have a laptop hooked up to it,
right?
So yeah, that first time I walked out and saw it up there, it was awesome.
Yeah,
jump up and down.
Here goes the pit crew. It was cool to see. I was a little thrown off by, like, that's when I first noticed, like, how much the delay was. I'm like, why does it look like we're over here?
Yeah,
we weren't over there.
But even for the Tough Mudder crew, Chris mentioned that it was good for them because he needs to know what's going on course.
Yeah.
And he can't just drive out on course all the time. So being able to just look up and be like, okay, cool, that obstacle is going well. It's really helpful for him.
I mean, it felt like we were appreciated, which is good because, there's a lot of work done by a lot of people to get that run the way it did.
Well, originally, when we were discussing the possibility of putting it up there, they were saying, yeah, we could just toggle back and forth with the results because that's what they usually have up there.
Yeah.
But our live stream showed the results often, so that never even bothered to switch back over.
Yeah, with all the graphics.
Yeah, so that was great. We're starting to get into technical stuff, but, talking about the women.
Oh, yeah.
Race.
Absolutely.
Chris Rogowski was pretty consistent. Didn't really seem to break down any.
I didn't have the chance to talk to her too much, but I did hear she had a bit of a rougher start.
Really?
Hearing. And so I guess a little slower start. And Callie was with her for a decent amount, especially towards the end. It was looking pretty interesting. And this was good. A good comeback for Callie in terms of, like, how things went last year, which I wasn't there for, so maybe you could speak to a little bit more. But I know she got cold, she got tired, and it looked like she managed both of those better.
Yeah. Last year she was just having a harder time towards the end, and obviously she was still, it's still a hard race, and she was fighting and struggling, but she was pushing. She was in it. She was able to push really hard and not have to bail out.
Yeah. And then shout out to Steph Bland, who I had to look up the name because I kept forgetting. Although I know her Instagram, Steffi BS. She did, this was her first, like, World Toughest Mudder. I believe her first Tough Mudder.
Yeah, I think so.
I didn't have the chance to talk to her, but she said that she's still in Cloud9 thinking about this past weekend. Wicked sad it's over. But she's so ready for another, and sharing the podium with two amazing athletes. She's just kind of still shocked, which is awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome. It was hard to tell, being out on the course. I'm listening to the commentators in my ear the whole time, but I'm also focused on, getting the shot and everything. So it's hard to always remember who's in the lead. So when I see all these bibs, not
the black bib.
Yeah, they don't get the lap leader bibs until after 12, after the course closes. I can't. No.
A little bit before that. I can't remember either.
Yeah, sometime in the morning. I just can't remember when. But so before that, it's just like, all these people. It's like I know any of these people could be in the top 3, but it's hard to know who's where.
Yeah.
So saw her a lot. But also saw like Melissa Linden, and like, is she in the top? I don't know. She looks like she's doing really well.
Yeah, she got ninth, I believe, right?
Yeah.
And this was her A goal, and she had dealt with I can't forget, I think it was a calf strain for most CRWC, and so she said she felt that with some obstacles that needed a burst of power, like Clung and Everest. So that's stuff.
Yeah. And Katie Knight got the, I think she had some troubles, so she didn't, I wouldn't say she finished strong. She ended up in 4th, right?
I thought 5th. Hold that up now. So
who was 4th then? Because she was 1st place in her age group, which is interesting. Like, obviously, nothing to take away from her accomplishments, but she was champion in 21, 2nd last year. So just the way they do age groups, it is interesting to see. I wonder how that feels for them.
Okay, so I was way off. This is the results according to TopRunner.com, which I just pulled up. Actually, let me just refresh one more time. This doesn't seem right.
But like, I think Trevor was on, one of the age group podiums. He didn't have his best race.
Wow, no, this is right. So 1st was Chris, 2nd was Callie, 3rd was Stephanie, as we said, 4th was Nikki Karamba, who unfortunately didn't. There's a lot of people that I wish I had the chance to talk to.
Yeah.
Jenny Overstreet took 5th, apparently.
Oh, wow.
I did not realize that. 6th was Robin Costa. I don't know who she is. Then Katie took 7th place.
Jeez. Oh.
Sarah Tucker was someone who took 8th place. I think I took a video of her. I think she was the first, she might have been the first woman to finish Spunky Monkey when that obstacle opened up.
Right.
So we got a video of her. Then 9th was Melissa Linden, and 10th was Corinne Colin, who has the 2nd most mileage of women.
Yeah.
And Pro Swim Spotter.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome. She got 60. So
yeah, that's a stacked top 10.
Yeah.
That's really amazing. Now that while you're saying it, what's the top 10?
Exactly. So we were right about Austin Azar, Michael Schwatt, Joseph Rocco, that's Fiore. Then 5th was Christian Brown Johnson, who got 100 miles. So if we plays 100 miles, not bad. 6th place was Matthew Gill from Noob Sanity. He got 90 miles. I know that he slept for a little bit too. It's amazing hearing people sleep and still get 90 miles. Like, do you know what? How many days it would take me to get 90 miles? Then there's Brant Baylor, Baller. Not familiar with him. 8th was Isaac Sanderson. 9th, Grant Thompson. And 10th was Jay Fettig. Oh, I saw Jay quite a bit. Now I know who you are.
That's weird. Trying to remember how I know Isaac. I know you can't remember where I've hung out with him. I need to ask him, but I forget him. He's a nice guy, though.
I clicked it and it says he's Canadian, which I did not realize. I thought Austin was like one of the only elites from good old Canada.
Yeah, either he probably rabbited for me somewhere. That's probably what it is.
Baby.
Oh, good dude. But it's interesting to see guys like him. Like, I know he's doing well, but he's wearing a white bib.
Yeah.
Just because he didn't do anything else to qualify, And I know they have, like, they will allow automatic qualifications for some, but I don't know what that takes.
Yeah.
Or if he, had enough accolades to be able to do that or not.
Right.
So, yeah.
So talk a little bit about obstacles. Did we mention the penalties? Because that's like a big discussion for this year.
Penalties were massively long. Like, I don't think there was one that was... There was none that was just like a 10th of a mile. Like, they were all longer than that for sure. And
the shortest one that I know of, I think, was Dingleberries when they changed that from no longer weighing the dirt or whatever, just to have like a bucket.
But the length was still I mean, it was still a good little run.
Was it?
You had to do. Because I went on most of them to experience it and get footage of what it was like. And yeah, it was just like, wow, this is, because I would go out on a penalty loop and they would be on my camera, and then eventually they would switch off to something else or talk about the leaderboards and stuff, and they would come back to me and I'd still be out running the penalty loop.
Yeah.
They were just long.
The longest one by far, and I heard X mileage. I heard anything from 2/3 of a mile to 3/4 of a mile was the grappler. The grappler. That was a doozy. And the worst thing is when you're all the way out to like the furthest point of that penalty, you go through the swampy section, then you turn around, you see how far it is to get back. Like you just see that little hill. Like, oh, that's that one. Okay. Yeah.
And that was one of the few penalty loops that I didn't go on. So when I saw Jack's pictures showing somebody in this like knee-deep water, I was like, where in the heck was that at?
You best believe we drove to that one.
Oh, man. Yeah, so not only were they distance, but almost all of them had something to do, too.
Yeah.
So whether it was find a nickel in a bucket of quarters,
Alice on that one.
Yeah, or carry a plate with a balloon on it, or carry a log and an egg at the same time, just all kinds of random little things that made it not just pure running, which was good. I like that.
Did you see the Everest one?
Yes. Oh, my God.
That one, yeah. Quarter-mile run to a ice bucket where you had to stick your hands in there for 60 seconds. Yep. Full minute. And then after that, you needed to assemble a thing of Legos. And there's a bunch. There's a robot. There's a car. There's an airplane.
Yeah, it was like little 6 to 8 piece Legos, and they had the instructions on the table to do it.
Yeah. And shout out to the fact that there were like 10 volunteers there. So like,
yeah,
if that thing was full, there would be a volunteer for each person.
Yeah.
Massive kudos for that.
Yeah, it was cool. That one, when I was rushing that penalty loop, something had happened in the production booth.
Okay.
And so they needed me, which was, I was pretty close. So I was almost back to the tables where the Legos were, and I ran off course to go back to the pit area, and one of the volunteers was like, hey, no, you come this way.
I heard you mention something about that.
So I just ignored them, but I'm sure they were like, what the heck's happening?
We're good for them for saying something.
Yeah.
British brain happens, especially for a long event like that. Absolutely. I walked that penalty a couple times, once in the middle of the night just to get like the experience with a big group of people. And then the second time with Dirty D's sister, I want to say it's Alex or Alexis, who on it like right before finishing the race, which was pretty awesome to get that on.
Speaking of which, do you know if anybody got the 25-mile adaptive bib?
I'm almost positive she did.
Okay.
I was I don't know. I don't know how many laps or how than Scars did. But I definitely saw them come through at least 4 times. That's pretty amazing as well.
All right, let's talk some technical stuff.
All right, it's all you.
Yeah. You check the
I know some
old track.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, good. 3 miles to the turf. So we mentioned Sam and Eric from Tough Mudder, and I want to say both of them are actually Spartan people. Like they've been working for Spartan before doing stuff with Tough Mudder. Because I know I recognize Sam from doing, I don't know, IT stuff, I guess. And Eric, I know for sure, he worked with him on Spartan stuff too. So we did the hot lap, everything was looking good, and then we get there Friday morning, and I plug in the router, and it would not connect to the internet. And the thing that when you're setting up, everybody asks, hey, can I help? What can I do? So I gave Will the router with the antennas to screw them all in. So he's the one that screwed them all in. And I don't know for sure if this was the problem, but I thought about it. Like, that's one thing I didn't try is moving, like maybe, because there's one antenna that's a little messed up. So I don't know if there's an issue with it. So like maybe the way he plugged them in wasn't right. I don't know.
That's why I just did the feed on the TV. I knew I can screw that one up.
So yeah. So that, since that wasn't working, I went to Tough Mudder and said, "Hey, we don't have internet. I've been trying to figure it out. It was working yesterday. I can't get it. So if it's at all possible for us to get on y'all's internet, please, that'll get us going." And they were like, "Yeah, let's do it." And so they got Sam in touch with us, and he came over and set up. So he got us connected first to make sure that it was all working, and then he went and got a basically like a point, like a hotspot point.
Okay.
So they're running off of Starlink, but then you've got one satellite dish and it's only giving out so much Wi-Fi signal. So they have these extenders that they go and put out in different areas where they need them. So they gave us an extender right by our booth, which was great. And it worked. It worked. Well, it worked the whole time, but they also had power go out at one point.
Yes.
And, along with that was the internet itself.
And the only one that didn't panic was you. I'm going to say that right now.
But it came back fairly quick, in the grand scheme of things. It really wasn't out that long. And the beauty of the way we do our setup now with the production computer being in the cloud is that the YouTube feed kept going. And we just weren't able to switch cameras or commentate. But any cameras that were up on screen just continued on as they were. Now, the production machine did crash at one point. And so there's probably a few minute window where there was nothing because, and now if you go back and watch it, YouTube actually automatically cuts that out. Like it recognizes that there was no data.
Sorry.
So it just cuts it. So you may not even notice it while you're watching the live stream, but, yeah, we're getting close to where I got to turn here. Paying attention where we're at.
30 east.
And so the whole machine went down, and I just had to basically start up the cloud machine again and start up vMix and wait for the show to load because it's got to load all the inputs and everything. And so it takes a few minutes for that to happen. But as soon as it comes back up, we're just, back and rolling because the YouTube feed itself has an option for auto start and auto end. So basically, when you start sending video, it starts streaming automatically. And I turn off auto end so that way, whenever it dies, it just keeps rolling. And so that way, when we reconnect and start streaming again, it just picks right back up where it left off, which is fantastic.
So, stupid question. The production computer that crashed is the one that was at your house?
No, that one's in the cloud.
Okay.
I stopped using the one at my house because, for one, I moved and my internet's not nearly as good as it was. And two, it is possible, it's happened to me before where my computer at home was not responding. Like I couldn't get into it. And so other than the fact that my wife was home and I was able to call her and wake her up at the time and tell her, go restart my computer. If nobody was home, there's no way I would have gotten it back up because there would have been nobody to do it. So going to a cloud machine alleviates that. I don't have to worry about, if nobody's at home at my house. So it works. And issues that we had at OCRWC as far as like not being able to get all the video feeds in, that has been alleviated. I know what the issue was, and I thought that I needed a better cloud machine, like with higher specs, but it turns out I didn't. I just needed to check a couple of tick boxes. And so now, we're using the lower end machine that I was originally started with, and now it all works great. It handled, us having 2 cameras from Rabbits, having 5 cameras for the static cameras, and it was all good. Now, one thing, we almost had a drone in the production because this guy, Rod, who just randomly told Tough Mudder, hey, can I help? Because I can't race. And so they pointed them towards us, and we messed around with it in during the hotline, and it was working great. And we came and got him, tried to get him connected on Friday morning, and it just wouldn't connect. It was super weird because I use the same connection method with my phone, and it worked fine. But for whatever reason, we could not get his to connect. So it was, I know he stayed out there and got footage, but it was really unfortunate. Like, we were so close to having a drone shot for, could you imagine a drone shot for the takeoff when everybody first starts? I mean, that would have been so good.
Sorry, we got my mind on Six Flags. Man.
That's okay. Yeah.
Like, I'm asking Six Flags. So we're past Six Flags. I'm like, I want to go to Six Flags. But yeah, he did get us some footage. I know that. It just wasn't part of the live feed, which is
so we really appreciate his efforts, and he seemed like a pretty good drone pilot. I was watching him, practice and stuff, and he was like flying through the start shoot and everything.
Probably fun.
It was cool.
I'm sure he had a good time with that. And then it was also his birthday the day of the hot lap too.
Yeah,
which was cool. Didn't sound like he had a good weekend. This was his first World Snow Sprinter experience, and hopefully we'll see him again, even if he is running.
Yeah. And then throughout the show, it was just all kinds of little random things that would happen. Like, I would be out on course, and they would text me and be like, "This laptop is froze," or "This laptop disconnected from the internet," or "We can't get the one of the data fields in the leaderboards is not right." Just little random things. So I would run back in, take care of it, and go back out on course. But talking about Eric Keene, don't get some heavy traffic here. Eric Keene does the timing for Spartan, and he's like one of their main guys that does their timing. He was at OCRWC.
I heard good things about him.
Yeah, he's been extremely helpful. He seems like he works with Race Results, and he seems like he knows the system very well, and he's able to basically set up the information the way I need it, and then he can just copy and paste it, because usually we need like one leaderboard for the men, one for the women, and then maybe some other stuff. So he's able to set up one and then just copy and paste the like headers that we need and stuff. So seems like it's probably not a ton of extra work on his end. I don't know for sure, but I'm very thankful for the efforts that he does put in to get that stuff for us, because it makes it to where all of our graphics just update automatically. It's just fantastic.
Yeah, they're in like, again, whenever there was like a slight problem, like, oh, it's listing these names alphabetized or whatever, like, well, let's like work together and figure out how to fix this. And like, there's so many minute details that it seems borderline impossible to keep track of all of them, especially with such a small team. But
yeah, so I was out on course, and I could hear him coming up and talking to Will and Francesca and saying, "Oh, it's supposed to be, it's not the rank column, it's the gender column that he needs to use." And I was like, I remembered, I changed that because I thought that rank was what makes sense. But that was before the race started, so I didn't realize that wasn't changing. That was just everybody's. It actually wasn't rank; it was everybody's where they were in the list of alphabetized racers. So I was able to come in, and there's a few things that happened, and I was able to stop streaming, remote into the laptop that was at the production desk, and then look at and make sure it's something. Oh, that's what it was. Their audio was my audio. They were not able to hear the audio from the cameras on course. Will and Francesca.
Okay.
And so when I was on course, I remoted into the computer, and I was looking around trying to figure it out. And I was like, oh shoot, this one, the audio that they're hearing, the audio bus that they're hearing, was turned down like halfway. Because I remember him saying earlier, it's like, Will said that he could hear something, like a little bit, like he had heard me at some point. So it's not like it was just off.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, it's just turned down. Why is this turned down? So I turned it up, and it was all good. I know the audio for the on-course cameras can be better. I think it sounds pretty good when it comes straight out of, from the phone itself. But I was, with the app that we use, I was having a hard time getting it to use the phone audio, but let me hear it in Bluetooth headphones. And that's what I want, but I had to switch it to where it was picking up from the Bluetooth headphones. So if there ever is a point on course where my audio, I know when we were in the pit walking around, it doesn't sound amazing.
Right.
And I think that's why, because it was just coming through the Bluetooth headphones.
Yeah, I was a little nervous when I was taking some Instagram stories. Caitlin said she was watching the live feed, and she's like, "Oh, the Instagram stories sound a lot better than the live feed right now."
Yeah.
And I panicked. I couldn't find you, and then eventually I texted her because it's still bad. She's like, "No, I cleared it up." So it'd be a difference there.
Yeah. The the priority of things that you need to get right in a live production, having cameras up is obviously priority one, because otherwise you got no show if you don't have this. If you're not showing, connection to the show and the camera's actual footage of the event. And then secondary is kind of like getting the commentators into the show. Now audio quality is a lot further down the list. Like if you've got audio, that's more important than if the audio quality is good.
Yeah.
And then color correction, like that's like at the very bottom of the list. If the video's there, that's great. But if the color quality, the color correction is perfect or not, that's the last thing on my mind. So that does get, depending on how well everything else is going, sometimes that stuff gets addressed, but sometimes it doesn't, just because you're focused on the other more important stuff. So, what else? Lots of little things. Like at one point I had to come back in and I was all the way out in Stogging Dirt. And I was like, I could run back in and just like keep on filming. But as I pass obstacles, I'm not going to stop because I need to get back to fix something. So I went ahead and just set my camera down and let it stay looking at Stogging Dirt. And I ran all the way back and then came back, got the camera and went on there. So they had a nice long period where they were on that obstacle, which is great. The static cameras on course worked really well. I could better manage the batteries on those.
So they all had like battery packs.
They all have good batteries, but the cameras themselves only last about 6 hours, and the hotspots that they're using can last up to 24 hours, kind of depending on like, did the screen automatically shut off? There's little things like that. So over the course of this event, both of them need to get charged at some point.
Yeah.
So I think it's preferable, and this is what I tried to do, to go ahead and have them on a battery, like plugged into a battery pack. And so that worked well to extend their life, but eventually they still died. I had to go bring a new battery. Now my issue is that I think I only had, for 5 cameras, only had 6 battery packs, which means I didn't really have enough to swap them all out at one time, So I kind of had to juggle them to get them, to make sure there were still some running. So there was a point in time where there weren't a ton of them. There was only a couple of them up.
Yeah. The cameras were also very effective in helping me realize that my fear of heights is back. When the camera kept getting hit on Butterhorn, I'm climbing up there and trying to fix the camera, like hoping I'm not going to get shaken off. I fixed it when this kid at night, and I got to the bottom, and then someone kicked it again. Yeah, and then luckily Jack was up there taking pictures, so we're yelling at him, fix the camera.
Yeah, I could not believe how many times I got kicked. Yeah, and then we forgot him on course after the race was over.
I felt so bad because I was thinking about it, and then like a butterfly flew by, and I was no longer thinking about it. But that's what happens when you're up for so long.
Yeah. Now I'll mention one more technical thing, and we're at the airport, so we'll wrap it up. But the brunch, the award ceremony, again, priority of things, order of priority. The audio was not great in there, and the audio was just coming from the camera. So we've already started thinking about ways that we can make that live stream better. One, they have their own microphone, but it is possible that we could either just plug in a microphone into that camera just to have a better microphone rather than the internal microphones, or you could get lavaliers that would plug in, so the receiver would plug into that, and then you can give the people on stage lavalier mics.
Lavalier is like a collar.
Yeah.
Okay, right.
So that's a possibility. But then that might play with like, how do we get the audio from the videos that play? But if we get the video from them, we can just cut straight to the video and actually play it while it's playing in real life. That way it's a much cleaner version rather than just a shot of the screen, which, doesn't look super, it's not crazy clear because it's a big, giant, bright LED screen. So that, and if the PowerPoint that they use, because I was just zooming into a close shot of the screen, and I had to adjust the brightness a lot because it was real bright behind the people. So I would have to turn down the brightness or turn it up so you could either see the people's faces or see the screens, depending on what you needed. So having the PowerPoint for me to swap to would be, I think, way better. So lots of things to improve, but overall, it was a fantastic event. It went really well. I think everybody's very excited about having the live stream and how it all went. So,
how do you feel about the views? I mean, obviously, people still have yet to watch all of it too, but it's pretty high already.
Yeah, just the day after, it's already got the amount of views that the races from last year have, a year later
On the Tough Mudder account.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know there's not a lot of people watching it, later on, 24-hour race, but yeah, some people will for sure. But so yeah, it's very, very pleased with it. It seems like we got the word out there, and people were lots of people were really active in the comments, and everybody's having a good time.
Shout out to the other rabbits.
Oh yeah, Dustin Durow rabbited with me, and
Carlo did a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Carlo did a bit. Rabbited.
Did he?
Thought he did.
I know he was doing, and I mean, unless he took Dustin's camera, because I never set him up with it.
He had a camera on the thing. It was like Dustin, Carlo, Jason.
Right, but we never actually put him in the production.
Well, that explains why I was confused when I interviewed him last night. I thought you did both. Okay.
But yeah, our team overall, everybody, Jack, Carlo, you, Will, Francesca, Dustin, did awesome. Everybody worked really well together, and I think we just put on a great show, which included you getting tons of interviews, Will getting interviews after the fact,
Right.
and Carlo doing a crap load of social media stuff.
Something else that I think we can do a lot better with next year. This is a job that I absolutely want to take on. Is having more.
Yeah.
I want to be like that relay that tucks the pit, and so we can have more information of how everyone's feeling, and getting more information about the athletes out there, because I have pretty good rapport with all the athletes, albeit there's some that I didn't recognize that I'll have to reach out to and start getting to know a little bit more. But I think it'd be cool to have some more information so they could talk more about how the athletes are feeling, just some more details to add to it.
Yeah, and also Francesca had some great ideas about how we can put information news about the race on the screen.
Right.
Because people are constantly asking about how's Michael doing, and not everybody's watching the entire thing. So having a way to showcase that stuff so that people can keep up to date with what's going on in the race, I think will really help even more next year.
I guess scrolling breaking news banner kind of thing at the bottom,
something like that, something where the screen goes in and you've got the side and the bottom to put information. Lots of different ways we can do it, I think. So very excited. Mike, thanks for joining me. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks for everybody for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Peace.